Oklahoma music shop. We talk a little, pick a lot, and we're live from Oklahoma, USA. And if you're so inclined to stop a while, just sit right down and set your dial. Live from Oklahoma, USA.
Make welcome Mr. Roy Clark.
Well, good evening, everyone. Thank you very much for being here. And Jim, thank you for the introduction. And let's see, I've got my notes down here. My name's John Woolley, and with me tonight, first of all, over here on the end, a man who's been with Roy for 20 years, piano player and band leader, Mr. Richard Kennedy, with us tonight. And next to him, we have Roy's band leader for many years, a recording artist, songwriter. It's for my money, the man who sang the best drinking song ever, Hollywood and Wine, Mr. Rodney Lay. And then, of course, our special guest for the evening, Roy Clark.
Thank you.
Now tonight we're going to go over some of Roy's life and career. We can't get it all in tonight, but we're going to try and hit some of the high spots. And we're going to start out, and of course the fellows will be chiming in as well. I know, especially you, Rodney. And we're going to start out, Roy, with talking about your early days, if you don't mind. We'll kind of go chronologically, and talk about, first of all, your family's influence on your music. What kind of an influence did your family have on you getting started in an entertainment career?
Well, my dad played square dance music, mostly. I heard it when the first time I heard sound, I heard music. So it was only natural for me to, when I got of age, that I would follow his footsteps. And we did, I was born and half raised in a little town that no longer exists in southwestern Virginia. And then my dad went to work for the government, and so he took a job when the Second World War broke out and moved to Washington, D.C. So Washington is where I got my musical education. And there was something going on, square dances and one-night concerts. And there almost had a lot of clubs in Washington, and I would estimate that on any given night there would be a dozen or more bands and entertainment. And so there was places for you to go and things to do. So I just went and did one after the other, and they'd say, well, get him over here. We heard him last week. Let him do another song. Well, I did. The other day I was just going through an old banjo case, and there was a typed rundown of one of the shows that was on WTTG, the old Dumont television network in Washington. And it was a rundown of the schedule, and it just listed the tunes. And it said, then it was Roy Clark and Dad. That always made me feel bad that I got top billing over my own father.
How long after that did you join Jimmy Dean?
Well, quite a while. I would say 10 years.
Oh.
And so I formed a group of my own playing around Washington, and Jimmy got a group together. In fact, he wanted me to join his group. And I said, you're not paying enough. So he jacked it up just to make it comfortable. And I became a Texas Wildcat. And that was Jimmy's band. And leave the driving to him. That was, but of all the people throughout my career, if I had to pick just one, and there's been many, that did more to boost my career, it would be Jimmy Dean.
And why is that, Roy?
It was just that we respected each other's, what we were trying to do. He wanted to make his group, his show bigger by hiring me, and then I didn't have to, I looked out for my guys and made it easier for them to go and find another job. But Jimmy, it was almost like he took this as a personal challenge to see if he could make first make his own career, but then and help me. And he was the first one that got me on the Tonight Show when he was guest hosting, and just out of the blue. You know, a lot of folks used to make comments about, is it true that Jimmy Dean fired you? And I said, yes, he did, and I needed it. Well, I was young and didn't have any responsibilities, and if he said 8 o'clock, I figured 10 after 8 would hold it. But Jimmy was one of those that if he said 8 o'clock, he meant 8 o'clock, not 1 minute after. And he took it as long as anybody possibly could. And then finally one night he called me over and said, Roy, when you leave tonight, don't take your guitar with you. I said, okay, doke. But we never had a cross word, never had a falling out. It was just I didn't fit into his plan at that time.
Join us this Labor Day weekend for the Post Oak Wine and Jazz Festival in the rolling Osage Hills, only 7 miles north of downtown Tulsa. Wine will be available for purchase from Oklahoma and California wineries. The event will include food trucks and a variety of culinary delights from Post Oak's executive chef, Damian Jacob. The Post Oak Wine and Jazz Festival will feature great music with headliner Bill Champlin and Grady Nichols. Come enjoy the best food, wine, and music that Tulsa has to offer at the Post Oak Wine and Jazz Festival.
Here we are, Muskogee, Oklahoma, River Country Water Park, right above the Lazy River. Kids, you're going to enjoy this place. You need to come join us. What do you think, Johnny?
I'm ready, but that doesn't sound like you rehearsed it.
Well, come on, give us some Lazy River.
Up a lazy river with Jimmy and John. Hey, look, this is like a duck thing, you know, where you pick them up, the ducks. I want that duck right there.
We got a winner.
Your eye like a big future fight. That's Muskogee.
Hey, Johnny.
My buddy Jimmy! I'll do it, Jimmy!
It's been a great day, River Country Water Park. You got to come see us. If you want to know more about it, go to visitmuskogee.com. You ready to go home?
I'm done for the day. I'll be in my trailer.
See the diva.
When did you take your first trip to Nashville? How old were you?
There was a contest in Warrenton, Virginia that had the best country music artist. It was in a contest. They had a trophy for a singer, for a band, for a guitar, for a banjo. And so I went and enlisted my services because the prize, if you won it, was a trip to Nashville, and this is 1952, and $500 in cash. And I said, whoa. And I took the $500 I won on the banjo, went down the road and bought a guitar. I always felt that I had really did bad by the banjo. I shouldn't have taken that for granted, that and went to Nashville. But I got over it. It was a 2-day trip from Washington to Nashville, and the first time I'd been away from home. And they picked me up and took me to WSM and got in a car with Lonzo and Oscar I had never met. and got in the car and drove to Corning, Iowa. And that was my induction to the Grand Ole Opry.
At some point, did you not also meet, speaking of the people that you worked with and met, I know you didn't work with Hank Williams Sr., but you met Hank Williams Sr. Can you recall that for us?
We did a show in Baltimore. Now, this is before Nashville. And we opened the show playing a square dance, and the square dance was on the show. And on the show, the headliner was Hank Williams. And then the Duca Paducah, Red Foley, one of the biggest shows in Baltimore at the Hippodrome Theater. One of those big, massive, beautiful, a lot of velvet and stuff. And I would go for 2 shows a day for 2 weeks and sit and watch every show that they did. Just, it was almost like a feeling you got when you saw Elvis Presley for the first time. And I sit there, and I wasn't analyzing, but I was just marveling, is that as big as he was and the magic that came out of him when he was performing, it didn't hold up to the old cliche that you got to do something comical. And all he did was stand there and sing. Just never moved. But something emanated from him that I remember to this very day.
Could I ask you something about your guitar playing? You said your dad taught you. But I knew your dad, and where did you learn how to play all those fast licks? I mean, he didn't teach you that. He taught you the basic chords and stuff, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But who taught you how to play all those real fast things that you did?
That's self-taught.
Self-taught?
Yeah, what you do, when you hit a bad note, you get off of it as quick as you can.
There you go.
There must be some guitar players out there.
The guitar was very, very good to you. It did make you a living, other than some of those other careers that you could have had, like boxing.
Yeah.
Didn't you box for a while, and why did you quit?
I had dreams of being a light heavyweight champion until I run into a guy one night that really wanted to be.
And you were quite a baseball player.
Well, baseball is still a big part of my life. I don't know. My dad said one time that he'd wished me or my brother one would learn how to build a career out of baseball. He said, but you choose to play the guitar, so go ahead with it. But it really, I've had so many outstanding things that I have always wanted to do, and I've spread myself a little thin at times. You can only do so much. But at the right time, in the right moment, somebody says, let's do this. You go and do that. I'd hate to wake up one morning and say, I sure wished I'd done that.
Is acting one of those things that came along like that? Acting in the Beverly Hillbillies and the different things that you did?
Well, I was like a little boy that runs with a pack of 5-year-olds. He said, let Roy do it. He'll do it. Let him jump off of that bridge. And old Roy would do it.
Was your Beverly Hillbillies, when you got on the Beverly Hillbillies, did that... could you tell that was really something that boosted your visibility with people? I mean, when you would do shows like that and then go out and play dates, could you see people were coming because of those shows?
Yes. I think most of it, though, happens over a period of time, that it becomes such a thing, a part of their life, and I become part of it with them. Because the Beverly Hillbillies, it was no heavy acting, but you did have to learn how to read scripts and things. And and my first television kiss was Ellie Mae. And that was worth the trip. Now, that whole bunch, that whole cast of players was just a delight to be around. Buddy Epson was playing guitar, and he was taking lessons up to that time. And Granny you could never tell Granny if she liked you or not. She always had that scowl. Have you been into my grits?
Hey, we need bait for a batfish.
Yeah, what do you use to catch a batfish?
I'm sure you guys, a submarine? Right?
A submarine?
Fish off that.
Yeah.
Predominant torpedo. Its propellant was a mixture basically of 90% grain alcohol. These guys would be half cocked most of the time they are doing anything.
Sound like you, Johnny.
Sure does. Wow, you mean they had TV like this back then?
Hey, what's Three's Company?
Three's Company?
Yeah.
It was on back then?
Brent installed it.
You installed it? You look pretty good for your age. What's your secret?
Well, we love our veterans, and this is a must-see for you that need to come. If you haven't been to the Batfish, you need to come see the Batfish here in Muskogee.
This one's not too good, though.
Every week, the Oklahoma Music Shop is taped live right here at the Oklahoma Music Hall of Fame in Muskogee, Oklahoma, USA. To find out more about upcoming events, go to www.oklahomamusicshop.com.
I know that you started off and you really, well, you've said so many, there's so many things that you did first. And one of them really before you came along, I was thinking about this the other day, before you came along, country music was not really integrated into mainstream television. You know, country acts were kind of in a ghetto. And because especially, I think, of your hosting The Tonight Show as well as appearing on it, that changed things. How was it that you actually started hosting The Tonight Show? How did that happen?
Well, everything goes back to communication. Mm-hmm. Johnny and I had this, whatever it comes from, that you understand each other and you feel comfortable being with each other. And he and I even invested all of our life savings into a car that never got off an automobile. You know, the DeLorean. Yeah. If you ever see one, the first 3 feet of it I bought. But he and I had that little, when I would see him, you know, say, well, you driven your car lately? No, I didn't get one, did you? But it was that he and I, he saw in me something that he felt comfortable with. And so we both enjoyed each other's company. And so that whole organization, The Tonight Show, were just on my side at day one, that anything that we wanted to do, they especially if you have a record come out and you want to debut it, come into it. We would like to say that your record reached really high on the charts because of your appearance on The Tonight Show. And well, that worked great until they started changing the dates after the Tonight Show scheduled us in. And so that was only, I want to say, wasn't the only thing that we felt bad about, except we had a real nice, peaceful get-together that now was a little strained. Mm-hmm. But The Tonight Show, and Jimmy Dean, first of all, is the one that got me on the first Tonight Show. He was guest hosting right before Johnny Carson took it over. And he called me. I was playing a little club out in Safford, Arizona. And he got a hold of me on Thursday and wanted me to fly all night to Chicago and get a flight into New York, tape the show, and then go back to Safford, Arizona. The way I went up, I took a flight out of Tucson up to Phoenix, Phoenix to Chicago, Chicago to New York. New York, just backtracked. And that's how I got back to Safford. Well, I got on the plane, flew all night, and went right to the station, TV station, and I didn't say Jimmy till right before the show. He said, how many tunes they got you down for? I said, well, they want me to do 2 and maybe 1 with you together. He said, well, we'll do the 2. If I don't get it, we'll do 2 more. He said, when you leave here tonight, you're going to be tall hog at the trough. And that was it. It was that kind of friendship that we had, sort of looking out for each other.
And from there, you did other TV shows. You recall any memorable moments from the other TV shows? You did like Odd Couple, Flip Wilson, those shows?
There's so many of them. I start thinking back at how many television shows I have done. It really impresses me that I could have done that many, because I did things like the Bell Telephone Hour, the Kraft Music Hall. This is with people like Phil
Harris?
Thank you, Phil Harris. And people out of my realm, out of my way of what I was doing at that time. And so because of that, I worked with Liza Minnelli, Joe Pass, all these, the Boston Pops with Arthur Fiedler. All these things came because of doing things like Hee Haw and the Beverly Hillbillies. That's all part of that whole television thing that I never turned down anything. They'd say, you want to do something Monday morning? Now you won't get home till Tuesday. Yeah, that's fine, let's try it.
Even when they ask you to dress up like a lady? Mama Halsey, I recall you being Mama Halsey on the Beverly Hillbillies. I want to know how you got those pantyhose.
You do wonder.
I do wonder.
Well, I was Mama Halsey, which was a nice middle-aged woman. And then I was the girl. I forget how what relations they were, but it was a younger girl, and I was a go-go dancer. And so when they put wardrobe on me, nothing fit. I couldn't get the pantyhose up because they just weren't long enough. So we cut the feet out and pulled them up. And that way we had to wear some go-go boots, and you couldn't tell that I had no feet. And that was a lot of people that you thought were your friends would point at you, tell others what you were doing.
Did you enjoy acting as opposed to playing music, opposed to being an MC or being a host of The Tonight Show? Where does acting fit in all that? Did you like it, or was it just something like they asked you to do and you did it?
I liked it because back then, if I didn't like anything, I would never bring it up. And I wouldn't do it because I'm not that good. I'm not that good an actor. That if it's not good, I can't make it sound like it's good or look good. But I've always said, if you don't try it, you'll never know. And you will rue the day that you didn't pursue something that could really have meant something later on.
Located in the heart of Oklahoma is a place where the stories, songs, and memorable performances of Oklahoma's native sons and daughters live on. Oklahoma has a rich history in music and continues to make a profound impact on the world's music culture and music industry today. From Wanda Jackson to Carrie Underwood and Blake Shelton, Oklahomans have created music that is famous around the world. Come experience Oklahoma's music from past to present. The Oklahoma Music Hall of Fame in the heart of Muskogee, Oklahoma is where the music lives on. And every week the stage comes alive with the Oklahoma Music Shop performances. Please go to omhof.com for live event schedules and to become a member of the Oklahoma Music Hall of Fame today.
Now, you played a place we call Schroeder Hall with Wanda Jackson. And I understand that's kind of a memorable story. Is that right?
It took a minute for me to put Schroeder Hall in Victoria, Texas. And it's the first time that I had walked into this was on one side of the room was dancing and people with their families, and on the other side behind the bandstand, which was in the center, was a bunch of chicken wire. And it just struck me funny is that sure don't look nice. If they had to put something up, they ought to got something and painted. And I said something about it, and they said, wait a minute, don't be bad-mouthing the chicken wire, because before the night's over, you'll need it.
Did you need it?
Oh, yeah. What they did was those cowboys got with it, and they would get the long-neck beer bottles and throw them at the band. So they put the chicken wire up, and it would knock bottles down, and it would really get them mad then. No more chicken wire. It was one. We were talking about, excuse me, clubs and things that you play. When I got out on the road touring, we would go and play all of these different clubs. West Texas used to have many of them. And we would go in and usually the bouncer or the guy who tried to keep order would be out there, one that would greet you. And he'd say, my name is Fred. He said, now, when the fight starts, you guys stay up here on stage. Don't be getting off and getting hurt. And I said, you mean if a fight? He said, when the fight starts. A great time was had by all. Another one, ingenious, was a guy that was a bouncer, and he played fiddle, and he had some kind of a rubber band on the fiddle and one on the bow. And so when trouble started, he just turned loose, and it all just bounced up. Didn't hurt his fiddle, and he didn't have to take time to lay it down. But I thought that's ingenious.
Be sure to tune in next week as the Oklahoma Music Shop presents part 2 of our conversation with the legendary Roy Clark.